Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
If you guys are listening, Taurian has on Lakers jersey, Lakers hat. So there's no question what team he's repping at all times.
Yes.
How you feel about this season so far?
They counted us out in the beginning, but after the trade deadline, we stunted on these hoes. You know what I'm saying? It's not about how you start, it's how you finish, and we finished it pretty strong right now. We just got Memphis up out of here, so when you guys listen to this, our series will be started with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
The big bad Golden State Warriors. So,
I know Steph had to. So, guys, I haven't been watching basketball like that in recent years, but I'm like making my way back on board. Reason being though, so like I have an Apple TV, and like with Apple TV, like you have like a bunch of apps that you can like store, and you sign up for different stuff. Which in retrospect, I guess I should have just asked you for a sign in because you have a sign in for everything.
Yep.
But my boy put me on a DirecTV, and he gave me his sign in. Shout out to Dion. So like I've been catching up on all the sports and shit like over the past few weeks. So I'm like up to date on everything that's happening in the playoffs for the first time in years. So I've been in tune. I know about Steph actually going in on the team and just telling them like, yo, like y'all niggas gotta step it up, basically. And then he dropped 50 the other game.
Yeah, bro.
To close out that series.
Steph Curry is not human. And I'll be honest with you, I think that it's kind of like weird. Like whenever like people talk about like the discussion of like the best ball players ever, right? Mm-hmm. Like they kind of always like with Steph Curry, it's always like a but.
Yeah.
But it's just like what else does he have to do?
You know what I think it is? So when I was a kid and we used to watch dunk contests and we used to watch all these dominant players, and All-Star Weekend was like really big. All-Star Weekend is not what it was before.
Absolutely
like
not.
I think they just need to do some programming of it or whatever, but that's down the line and that's another conversation. But I think what it is that now Steph has kind of redefined like how three-point shooters are looked at. So like before, I know when I was growing up, it was Steve Kerr. It was like
it was a specialist.
These guys. It would So like they didn't really generate the excitement like how the dunkers did. Mm-hmm. But I think now the tide is turning, and now there's more excitement toward three-point shooters. But I think since Steph is known predominantly as a three-point shooter, he doesn't get the same respect that like all the other dominant players get.
Yeah, it's just I just think about it like this: like Steph Curry is like 6'2", like 180 pounds, soaking wet. And he be making everybody look foolish, like to the point where like dudes is like nothing they could do with him. Like it's silly. Like he walks around with like his mouthpiece hanging out of his mouth. Like I just think that conversation needs to be had, right? Like you gotta look at it. Like he's been in the league for 10 plus years now.
Yeah. How old is Steph now?
Steph Curry is 34, 35 years old, I think. And like Kevin Durant is getting 35. Old. Kevin Durant's getting old. LeBron James is prehistoric in basketball years, right?
Yeah.
And like Steph Curry, like it doesn't look like he's slowing down. Mm-hmm. Like it looks like he can go like another 5 years, like at a high like rate. So that's why I'm just saying, like obviously the rules changing have like made things different, but he's definitely the boogeyman in the NBA. Yeah. Because at any time, like he can just get hot. Like it like think about it like this, like when Steph Curry
complete control all the time.
When Steph Curry misses, we'd be like, yo, he missed that?
Yeah. Because honestly, every time I watch Steph, it feels like he can score when he wants to. Like it just seems like he has control all the time.
Right. So, in other news, like Dylan Brooks his life is in peril.
Oh yeah, I saw about that too.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate. It's not fully. It hasn't been confirmed by the team yet because free agency doesn't even start until July 1st. But Shams reported that like the Grizzlies said we have no interest in bringing you back next season, and I just think like damn, like
everybody's been like, yo, he's going to China.
Yeah, like, I just think it's hilarious because it's like in all actuality, like he was just riding out for his team, and like he just spoke to the wrong person.
Yeah.
He spoke to the wrong. That's just like when people say like, yo, remember that nigga that fouled Jordan? Remember when we was kids? They were like, yeah, he's in Siberia
like
now.
Where he at now? Yeah, where he at now? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting. I want to this is like every playoff game that I've watched so far is exciting as hell. Even Philly and Celtics, that was exciting yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, for you guys watching this, are probably like on game 3 at this point.
Yeah.
But that series kicked off crazy. Like fucking what's this dude's name from Philly?
James Harden or Ty?
Okay, yeah, I'll say James Harden actually. James Harden, the game that he put up was crazy. Like in the last quarter, that was like one of the most exciting quarters I've seen in a while.
He's been known as a choke artist in the playoffs, so like that's why it was so significant. Like Embiid is out, and like this was like a gimme game for Boston, and the fact that like they won, like it should kind of like make Boston feel like a little. They should be a little nervous.
I'm sure they are. Hell yeah.
Same way Phoenix should be nervous. They have fucking Kevin Durant, the cheat code. Like he's literally the created player in a video game, and Joker is out there playing fundamental basketball. Like he's like the new age Tim Duncan, like giving them 39. So. And Jamal Murray didn't even play good, so it's just like that got to be demoralizing. Like, you know, so
and Harden putting up damn near 50.
Yeah, so the playoffs right now is really really exciting. Lakers Nation all the way. You know, I hope that we make it to the finals. I hope that, you know, as episodes go on, you'll see me be happier and happier.
Yeah, we'll see. It feels
pretty good right now.
You know, I want to see what the Knicks do. You know.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Knicks they have another game today. Actually, when you're watching this,
at the time of us recording.
Yeah, at the time of us recording, they have another game today. So
they'll win tonight. Jimmy Butler's hobbled.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler, he went crazy the other day. I mean, of course, you know, he injured himself, but you know, he's had a few days to recover. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I think, Jimmy Butler, man, Mr. Extensions.
That guy. Yeah, he had them extensions for like a week, and I guess he saw niggas clowning him and he took them out. Smart man. Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip-hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip-hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today.
Dun dun.
So we'll get into the album today, because of course we're here to actually review an album.
Yes.
So for today, Taurian picked an interesting one. Muzik 2, which is Joe Budden's mixtape from the critically acclaimed series. He had 4 of them. But for the second one, this one stood out to a lot of people. I mean, Complex Magazine noted it as one of the best mixtapes of all time. He had production on here from Ron Browse, DJ On Point, of course, who hosted the original mixtape and not the reissue. The Architects, Nelly Nell, Scott Storch, Scram Jones. You know, I think Joe at this time, and he used Move Music series to actually and vent his frustrations out with his current label situation or lack thereof, and just actually with his current mind state. So like Joe, if you know anything about his music, has always been one of those guys that's really been transparent in his music, and people have appreciated him for it and for being recognized, going on to be recognized as like one of those mental health advocates, like that. Right. You know, like how people see Cudi, like people also see Joe in that light. What's your overall feelings on this album from when it came out? Let's start there.
So when it came out, I had no idea this project. That it existed. Like I had no idea. I was completely immersed in the way I was getting music was going to, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I was a freshman. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida. I was a freshman in college, and I went back to Atlanta after 1 year, right? So that by that summer, I was back home. So I would just go and get mixtapes to ask my friends what to listen to. So the only thing in 2005 that I knew was going on with Joe Budden was Dumb Out.
Okay.
And that was because everybody was like, yo, him and JayZ got real beef. He had smoke for Hov.
And that was on every mixtape.
Yeah, and it was on every mixtape. Yeah. So I knew about Dumb Out, but I wasn't in tune with the Move Music series because I wasn't that invested in Joe Budden. Like I knew Pump It Up was dope. I liked Fire. I liked Focus, but like I just wasn't that in tune. Now once I got educated, my boy Felix, shout out to Felix, made me understand how important Joe Budden was, right? Because Felix was very into the blogs and stuff like that, right? I listened to it and I was like blown away because I didn't know that he was such like a great artist. And I kind of think what Def Jam did with him, like, you know, if you listen to Joe Budden podcast, he's talked about it like on like to no end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of like how he was handled. And I just think like, damn, there's been so many times where like Jay-Z kind of like didn't get it. Right, and so like in LA Reid, absolutely, LA Reid had no problem saying he was like, yo, I'm an R&B guy, like I don't get rap, so like all he knew was like pop, like crossover rappers. He didn't know anything about underground rappers.
Yeah.
So and there were things that like Def Jam kept trying to like put on him, and because they were like, well, you're next to Fabulous, like do something, you know, like that. And I think because Joe's so musically inclined and in tune with certain things, he was trying to touch on something that everybody at the Def Jam label just didn't get because Def Jam was all about crossover artists. So he was just mishandled, but I can't believe he put out Mood Music 1 and they got all that recognition. And the label, like they were like told about it, heard the rumblings, but they still were like, yeah, we don't know what to do. And
they wanted to market him as a gangster rapper at first.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But you talking about, I know you been talking about that interview, right?
Yeah.
When Shorty said he was sitting Indian style.
He was sitting, they said, he was sitting Indian style. And it's just like, yo, like, but this is like really him. Like, let him just be him. And I think a big part of that was him even staying with his official name, Joe Budden, and not giving himself a rap name because he just wanted to be himself. And I think that poured over really well. But I was a really big Joe Budden fan early on. I remember when I came to New York and I first discovered Joe on like different mixtapes and shit. And early on, people didn't know what he looked like because he would just rap. He would link up with Clue. He would do these freestyles, but nobody knew what he looked like. And then there was like rumors that Joe Budden was Rasheed Wallace. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say it because I'm trying to get better at not cutting you off.
So there was rumors of that, and I think early on I was like, yo, is this Rasheed Wallace? He makes like all these basketball references. So I didn't really know who he was until like, you know, I started seeing him around and he would pop up on tapes with Clue. So I was like really into Desert Storm and Paul Kane, and like I was in Triangle Offense, what they called themselves. So I knew about Joe, and like I copped the first album and everything, like first day. I remember copping the first album, and then he kind of just disappeared. So I didn't know the politics and shit like that, like how I know more now. But I just felt like he disappeared, and I knew there was frustration because he rapped about it later. So like Mood Music series, I was into, but like I also just never was into like the production style. I was more into Joe when he rapped on other people's shit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that his beat selection is very good.
Yeah. And they just weren't mixed that well, even for back then standards. Like they just weren't mixed that well.
And it's funny because like his man's is Parks now.
Yeah. So now Parks got him right, but now he's not rapping, so it doesn't even matter. But he's always been transparent, right? He's always been one of those artists that's been super transparent about addiction and, you know, drugs and depression and everything like that. And he kind of used that to catapult this series to where it is. I don't know. I'm trying to think about like his lead in with this. So this was, so getting back to 2005. So this is 2005. A lot was happening in 2005 as far as like in rap.
Yeah, like that's okay. So think about it. At Def Jam, like number one, like Kanye was their biggest like artist, right? So they had Kanye, Jay-Z put out the Young Guns and Memphis Bleak. He also started the Rock La Familia thing,
with
right? With True Life. So that was like huge. And then think about it, 50 Cent was out. Yeah. You know, like, and G Unit was on like on the rise in 2005. So I understand why the label slept on him. But it just was like really fucked up, like because he was better than a lot of dudes, and that's just that like he was pretty much like just being put in limbo. Like there was an interview where someone spoke to Jay-Z and they were like, "Yo, what's up with Joe Budden's album? It's done," and he was like, "I don't have Joe Budden's album in my hand. I can't speak on a project that I don't have." And like I remember like one time when Joe was still on the show with Rory and Maury spoke about that. He was like, what the fuck do you want me to do? I had to speak to Carlene, and Carlene kept telling me that you were in a meeting, like, you know what I'm saying? So like he was just frustrated because like when he originally came to Def Jam, Kevin Liles and Leo Cohen were his guys. Because they're the people who signed him.
Yeah.
And pretty much because he wasn't an artist that JayZ and LA re-signed, pretty much like he was treated like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
And like that's like where his frustrations came. And I think that's why it was such a full circle moment when JayZ came to that Duce Palooza and they were backstage and he like was like, let me just ask you, like why'd you do all that?
Yeah.
And then JayZ was like, so what? Like you successful. Like it don't matter no more. Like you good. Like your life is great.
Which is toxic as hell. This is like, yo, he's legit trying to get past some shit. And he probably really that was a moment for him to get that off his chest for closure.
Yeah.
And Hov was just like, yeah, so what?
So
like,
what?
It don't matter.
It
like
don't
he
matter.
just
he was like, it don't matter. Like we
toxic.
cool now. Like you know what I'm saying. Like you know, like we threw jabs at each other. Like it's all good.
Who cares? That's mad funny. But yeah, so like revisiting this, I'm like, damn, like he was in a jam, and this is all he could do was like, you know, put this shit out the way that he was doing it, and this was like on the rumblings of the blog era, of how we came to know it.
He was an underdog, and that's what like I've learned that like a lot of people like rallied behind him, like our homegirl Mo Bigga is a big Joe Budden fan. Shout out to Mo Bigga. And like obviously, you know, like she loves like that emotional shit. Mm-hmm. So like him doing all that was like a big deal. And then mind you, like he also like Joe Budden TV.
Yeah.
And we got introduced to Harry jumping on the trampoline.
Yeah. My first episode of Joe Budden TV was the one I think she was cooking and he kept bothering her. And I was like, yo, who is this? Like, who is this? What's this? What's going on?
Who is this big ass Dominican?
And it just became a thing. Like, it just blew up. And then it went from being on Joe Budden TV to being on World Star Hip Hop every week to it was just a whole thing to her getting on the cover of King Magazine.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing,
right? Down to the getting punched in the face over him making the comments about the top rappers list.
Oh,
saying he
Vibe.
was Vibe top rappers list saying that he was better than Method Man.
Yeah.
It was like all these things like that were like chronicled and like there's all these highlights and like that's why Joe Budden calls himself the disruptor because like in hip hop like there's certain things that like he speaks on and talks about and. He is at like the center of it, so that's what it made it so funny when he was listed as the #1 like podcaster. And, like, people were debunking it. He was mad that people was hating on him.
Yeah, he was like, "Yo, who else would it be?" Like he was just upset, which I understand. But getting into the actual fold of the album, what's some of your biggest standouts from here?
Okay, If I Die Tomorrow with the Tony Tone sample, is like a big deal for me.
That's good.
Like. I was like, yo, Joe like rapped over this beat. Like, damn.
And it just encompassed the overall vibe and the tone of mood music. Because that's exactly what it is.
6 Minutes of Death was peak punchline rap. Like peak. Like you have Stack Bundles who was supposed to be like the next one.
Rest in peace, Stack Bundles.
Yes. And then you have Jay Mills who you couldn't tell me Jay Mills wasn't going to be like the biggest rapper in the world. Right? And then Joe, like, in my opinion, out-raps both of them.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
He sounded the best too.
Right. And those two were like the standouts for me. And then So Serious, Old School Mouse, World Takeover, I think it's like funny because like at the beginning of the song, like he's going off like how he does on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I thought that was dope. And then Dumb Out, obviously.
Dumb Out is it's a classic Joe Budden record.
And 40 Licks and Stained.
Man, those are some good ones. Because 40 Licks, I remember when that came out. This is back when I used to make. So this was my 12th grade senior year. And I used to make mixtapes and stuff. And sometimes people would just be like, "Yo, like put whatever you want on there," and I put 40 licks on everybody's mixtape because I liked it that much.
Damn.
I would just put it on there, and I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy. This is dope," because people weren't digging into LimeWire and into the mixtape circuit like how I was in Detroit, at least.
Okay.
So I put this on there on a lot of people's shit, and they all fucked with it. I ran this back. So, like, when I heard this back on this replay, like, because we have to, typically when we assign ourselves these albums, we do a replay, obviously. And I got to this, and it just unlocked so many memories. I haven't heard it in years. So that one, So Serious for me as well. You know, he had the, what you say on here, my label got me questioning my favorite rapper. Like, ooh, you know who that's for.
Yeah.
It was just, throughout the whole album, up until you get to Dumb Out, is when you get the overall smoke for Hov.
Yeah.
Like he just had so much smoke for him, and it's warranted. Like it was in a time frame where he was super frustrated. Right. I mean, there was a point in time where Joe was announced as being signed to Rockefeller.
Yeah, by Dame Dash.
Yeah,
and then think about this: like the ties were really close too, because Skane Dollar and I forgot the other gentleman's name were like managing him and like handling his stuff. And like that's Clue's team.
Yeah.
And they're close as hell with JayZ.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I know Joe, I guarantee you that there was one argument where he was like, you can't just call this nigga right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so I just think that there was like a lot of elements of frustration where he's like, yo, like I spent all my money and I need to put out another project. And, you know, like, I just think that at the time when he came out, the kind of rap that he was doing, like it just wasn't. He came out at the wrong time, unfortunately. Obviously, like he was able to get a crossover hit with Pump It Up, but that really wasn't. He's capable of making those songs, but like that's not Joe.
That's not his bag. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was like the issue for him. Like, and so
because they kept being like, make another Pump It Up.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Do you think if he would have, like, let's say Jay and L.A. Reid heard Mood Muzik too, and they were like, all right, let's you know, make this the album. And because the album was supposed to be, what was it supposed to be called?
Was that the one, the padding room or something like that?
Well, no. After the Joe Budden album, he had a project and he had a name for it. He had a release date and everything. And I think it was called like, Google it real quick.
Ain't that the one that he's sitting in the thing?
Nah. It was called something like not Focus, like it was supposed to be called something. I really want to get the name of it because I can't remember. It's not called Focus. It was called like The Growth. I did write it down. The
Growth. Okay.
His second project was supposed to be called The Growth. So I think the recordings for Mood Muzik 1 and Mood Muzik 2 like combined would have been The Growth.
Yeah.
Do you think if that?
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about.
Oh, Pad Room. Okay, I thought that came out
as Escape Route, but no, it was this. That's what I was thinking about.
Okay, that one.
That's what I was thinking about.
So, do you think if he would have put out The Growth, would it have done anything? Do you think like he would have made noise? Like the impact that the Mood Muzik series had, right? Do you think that The Growth would have had the same impact?
So the Mood Muzik series has the impact that it had because of the tone and the content. I don't think if Joe Budden was happy with his deal that we would have got Mood Muzik. So I don't know what we would have got. Okay. It's really hard to say because he was so frustrated because of the turn of events or the way that shit played out for him that he went and he made Mood Muzik. So Mood Muzik was a result of the frustration. So like if he kept going, we probably ultimately would have got Mood Muzik because Joe is just Joe. And I don't think there's ever like fully a satisfaction rate for him.
Right.
I think this is the happiest we've seen him like in his podcast life. But like with music, it's hard to say because even in the scope of things, if you think about 2005, it was still too crowded for him.
You're right.
Still way too crowded for him.
The pool that was out, because you got to think about it, like that's why him and Game had beef. Yeah. Because pretty much him and Game, they were pretty much like the Game was Interscope what he was supposed to be for Def Jam. And like they wound up like running into beef and like Joe destroyed. I think Joe won that one. Like
all I remember, I don't remember much of the beef. I just remember Game's Buttons. I just remember that's all I remember. I don't remember much of the music. at all.
I do. I remember that because like I was really into like whenever rappers like got into beefs, like I don't know, I love comparing shit.
Yeah.
So like I was like these both dudes is both like super lyrical dudes, and like I just thought like, oh man, like I gotta hear this. And when I heard like Joe say like you guys wearing the funny wife beaters with the strappy tank, the straps, I thought I was like, oh, he's killing these niggas.
I actually got to revisit that. I haven't heard it in forever. But even getting back into the fold of this album, so there's a lot of stuff on here that I really liked. I was a little hesitant to listen to it because I was like, man, this album probably wasn't mixed the greatest, but like when you listen to it now, like it still sounds pretty good. Like there's some good shit on here. But then there's songs on here that I never want to hear ever again in my life. Like Three Sides to a Story. It's I get the cautionary tale and telling those very unfortunate 3 different stories that he told.
Yeah.
But this was around a time where people was making songs like that for like Ludacris. I think about Runaway Love.
Yeah.
Little Eric was only 10 years old. Like all that shit, I don't care.
Shout out to Jolito. My man Jolito was starring in that. Oh,
word. He was in that. Yeah. And Keke Palmer.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to hear shit like that. Like when do I ever want to listen to that? That's what I'm saying. Like when shit like that plays, I get it for like award seasons and stuff, but as far as music quality, like me listening to it, like, I don't want to hear shit like that.
Yeah. For me,
and that was produced by Scott Storch.
Yeah. What's up? That chorus.
What's up? Yeah.
I couldn't do it with that chorus, and For a Reason, I didn't like either.
Oh, For a Reason. Did I write anything for that? What did I say about that? I don't think I really. Oh yeah, the chorus. Chorus was terrible. That was the one with the singer.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's very good at choruses.
No,
personally.
He's not. He's not that good at choruses.
Like, I think that he caught one with Pump It Up. But yeah, I'm not a fan of his choruses.
Yeah, he's I think Joe is one of those rappers that with the direction, it could be phenomenal. But like he just wants to him just as a rapper is great. Mm-hmm. Just like Wayne. Wayne as a rapper is amazing.
What's hilarious is that like he would have flourished on Shady.
Hell yeah, he would have.
He would have really. He would have been like I really think so. I think that if him and M had built the relationship early on, it would have worked out really well. The reason why him and M's relationship didn't work out well was because by the time Slaughterhouse came over there, the relationship wasn't through him; it was through Royce. So Joe just had, and Joe has like a. Joe has like a chip on the shoulder to everybody and like authority figures, and like when people don't talk directly to Joe, he kind of feels slighted. Yeah,
I think around this time frame too. Funny enough, because I didn't think about the fold of Shady and everything like that. But if he was cool with Shady around the time that 50 and all like around that whole frame, he would have took off.
Hopefully they would have kept him away from G Unit though. Yeah. But he just would have been a shady artist like how Obi Trice was.
Yeah.
Because Obi Trice did really good too. Got some teeth. Like, shout out to Alvon. He worked on that project.
Yeah. That project was amazing.
Like I think it really it would have just been right up his alley. Like, and then like Eminem giving him those dark ominous beats.
Yeah. There's a couple songs on here too where I think Eminem would have sounded great on.
Yeah, I agree.
There is, I think I even wrote that down. There's a song on here that I was like, damn, Eminem would have sounded great on here. And there's a couple, and I was like, damn, like, and it speaks to even just their chemistry that they could have built on. It's like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Like I just think that was.
Oh, the future. That song. That's track number 6. It samples Bill Withers.
Yes.
Yeah. The second verse in particular kind of borrows Eminem's flow. I think that's something that he would have bodied, especially in 2005. Like what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said. Like we already said, 2005 was like a really like robust year of music. Mm-hmm. And for somebody like Joe, like he just got buried. Like if in a perfect world, Joe, when Leo Cohen and Kevin Liles left, he should have demanded that he go with them.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Because think about it, like they went and like T.I.'s career took off because they were working with T.I. Like it's basically like they swapped. Like because like on our last episode we talked about T.I. was signed to Arista with Warner Brothers with what's his guy? L.A. Reid.
Yeah, yeah.
He was under L.A. Reid. L.A. Reid.
And L.A. Reid didn't understand him.
He didn't understand him, right? He like L.A. Reid leaves, goes to Def Jam. Kevin Liles goes to Atlantic. T.I.'s on Atlantic. Kevin Liles on this gets it completely.
Yeah.
And T.I.'s career takes off. Mm-hmm. But if Joe Budden would have went to Atlantic with Kevin Liles, I'm pretty sure Kevin Liles would have understood him and gave him the time and attention that he needed.
Yeah.
And it just sucks, like, you know.
So I guess my question is though, what is a happy Joe Budden? What would a happy Joe Budden be like in music? Because I don't think we've even seen that side.
We've never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with his first album, when he should have been on top of the world, when he should have been happy, I think he had some real life issues that he was trying to get over. He had a song called 10 Minutes on his first album where he like really, really goes in. Like he really pours it out there. And I think he's just one of those artists that kind of just digs deep. But I don't know what that looks like. And I've asked this about Cudi too, funny enough. Like, because Cudi's music was never the happiest. It was reflective. It was, you know, it was somber. There was a lot of sad moments.
I think we can get a happy Cudi album though.
I think we've had one, but and it didn't do well.
I'm sorry.
We've had a couple.
Because I've never not liked the Cudi project, so I gotta like revisit it. But yeah, happy Cudi.
Yeah, because it's like those people that make it, that are like, you make it based off of like, you know, this sadness that you bring, but then also people that also share that sentiment, pouring yourself out there. Like, what happens when you reach happiness and those people are still sad and they're relying on you to kind of encompass their mood? Like, how do you get pigeonholed? Like, you know what I mean?
You do get pigeonholed. Like, that's what happens. Like, and then you get put under like a genre rap. So like,
yeah,
you basically saying Joe Budden is like the Mary J. Blige of rap. Like, nobody
I get,
wants
in
that
a sense,
nigga to
like,
be happy.
That's basically what he was. Because yeah, in R&B music, because people, you know, Summer Walker right now, she's living her life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and she doesn't make the best decisions, and people are like, well, the music is gonna be fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
First thing that people said when Miguel got his divorce, yo, that album's gonna be fire. So it's like we kind of rely on these people to go through these down moments because we know on the other side of it is good music.
Talking about that. We were talking about it because you know how sometimes artists will make all right, so like an R&B, right? Like a lot of the times, like a man is like begging a woman to take him back, or like he's like singing like, you know, like Babyface, like I'll do this for you, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll do all that shit, and like whereas like most times like you run into situations where like a woman might like, all right, when Destiny's Child made Cater to You, women were pissed,
yeah,
right, but like if they make a song saying like men ain't shit, fuck men, he did this to me, he did that. There's so many women who have been like fucked over by men. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like trauma porn. Like it speaks to them because like they went through it. But if a woman like sings about being happy, and other women enjoy it, they look at them like, you simp.
Yeah.
Like that ain't real life.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, so like that's actually pretty funny.
I guess that's the unfortunate part of, you know, being this type of artist. But this mixtape is filled with a lot of high moments. I mean, and Stained I really like, produced by Scram Jones.
Yes.
Damn,
yo, I know so many people associated with this shit. Shout out to Scram.
Yeah, this is like the sample of this, which samples Stained. This a band. This samples their song Outside. This had like a festival feel to me. Like it sounded like some shit that could ring off at a festival. It's not like high octane energy. It's just one of those like pivotal points in the album that like makes you pay attention no matter where the setting is. Like I really like that about it. What else on this album? Is there anything else notable that you wanted to get into?
I mean, no, not really, because with it, like we just went to like we got to the meat and potatoes. Like on streaming services, they don't have the mixtape version. So like all of the skits and the Killer B8 stuff that was really funny and like you know, the DJ that was hosting it, like there's none of him or DJ On Point. So like we just got to the meat and potatoes. So like this is just about like the music. So it kind of like it takes away when you listen to it if you're familiar with the mixtape version more. But the project did what it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me like really like happy and like high on this project. And again, like I said, shout out to Felix and his sad ass because you know Felix like made it like was very adamant about why this project was such a big deal and why Joe Budden was so respected. Because I didn't before Felix put me on to Joe Budden's Moon Music series, I didn't even consider Joe Budden a top MC. Like I just didn't. Like I was just like because I only heard the first album. Like and then you know like I said like I knew about Dumb Out and I was like, oh, okay, like he did his thing. But Felix really made me understand like like Joe Budden is nice and you need to like pay attention. So thank you, Felix.
He's just so Joe is just so like his punchlines are never just like regular. He always ties something with current events into it. And sometimes it could be pretty mean, like when he said the Foxy Brown thing.
Oh yeah,
he said Fox Brown should be the only one that can't hear that. Like that was like that spoke to that moment, and I think that's the problem too with Joe Bart. Sometimes is that it's very much of that moment, so it doesn't give it space to age well because it's those moments. Like that's such a 2005 bar that like when you hear it now, if you're not familiar with what that was, it just goes right past you.
Right.
But at that time, some people would know that Foxy Brown had some hearing issues.
She lost her hearing.
Yeah.
Joe wakes up and reads the newspaper every morning.
Yeah.
So like with him, like he's gonna give you current. Yeah, he's gonna give you current events like no other.
Yeah. So and then he has a couple other joints on here. Well, Dumb Out. He had the whole I'm downloading like niggas actually play this. Like maybe I'm bugging out. Maybe I'm on a spaceship. So like. A lot of frustrations on that of like, and we've seen that from a lot of artists where they feel like they just know that they the nicest and they getting overlooked, and it's interesting to see. I feel like we've seen that from Nicki. We've seen that from Nicki a lot, where Nicki is like, "Yo, I'm nice, like, and this is what y'all like," but then it makes you sound crazy because nobody wants to. Nobody wants to tune into that, and that was one of Joe's biggest problems. But for this album, I was very impressed that it kind of has held up to how I saw it, early on.
Yeah, it didn't change. It didn't change anything.
It didn't change.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it and was like, damn, this is dated, or the rap sound bad, or sound old, or cheesy. Like it's still like as strong, and like I think that's why it's so significant to me. Like when you tell a person that might not be familiar with this run for Joe Budden, like, yo, listen to the Moon Music series. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, like, they gonna come back to you like, yo, I didn't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend binging the Moon Music series. I wouldn't recommend, it's not a series you listen to back to back to back. If you really going through some shit, then okay. By all means, I guess, but it's a very heavy listen.
Do you think his son listens?
Yeah, I think his son definitely has listened. Yeah, I mean, he talked about his son too much on his early work for him not to be in tune from when he was young.
What did he say? Bitch, just take the 250.
Oh yeah, that was on the opening track. Yeah, give you the abortion. I gave you the 250. Yeah, like that nigga is. That nigga's different.
Yeah,
man.
Very honest. Like that's a hard comment. Like sometimes like you might hear rumblings like, hey, like when mom found out she was pregnant, like how happy were you guys? Well, like nah, like he knows like Joe was arguing with his mom. Like,
it's literally all.
Get rid of Trey.
It's literally all in the music. But yeah, man. I'm interested to hear your rating.
I get his rated a 4 waffles out of 5. Because like the rapping is there, the importance and impact is there. The sequencing I actually like the sequencing as well. My one issue is just the production, and that can be like a preference because there might be some people that think that this production is amazing. Yeah, but that's like my one gripe. That's my only like beef. Like even like the low point songs like still like that. Like I can't take them off the album. I just don't like them.
Okay, I get that. I think I'm comfortable giving this a 3.5.
Okay.
I think For me, it's the production, but it's also the choruses. The choruses
Yeah,
are just
the choruses suck.
terrible.
They do.
The choruses really bring this down for me. But Joe, like the songs that I'm like, ugh. Joe comes on and he's rapping and he actually makes it better. He makes the experience better. Yeah, he saves it, and it's just like, damn. I wish you didn't have to be. I wish you could just. There's certain songs where the production and everything just works. Like that's probably why I like 40 Licks so much on this album.
Right.
Because the production is beautiful to me and the way he's rapping, what he's rapping about is all solid. Even at the end, he lets the production ride out. It's beautiful. But yeah, 3.5 for me. But it is very essential in Joe's catalog that you listen to it if you're trying to get into his music. Highly recommend.
I agree.
So that's it for us. I hope that you guys definitely revisit this album. You know, obviously for Gen Z, if you guys are tuning in, you don't even know Joe as a rapper. This probably wouldn't even matter to you. But if you are curious, I would recommend listening to the Mood Music series. It's unavoidable in his catalog. And that's it from us. I'm First Class Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
And we're out of here.
Catch you next time.
These are their stories.
Dun dun.